So here is the first thing. On the inside cover of your notes, please write these three forms down on the blue inside cover of your notes. Vertex form, which is what we are really using today. Okay, we've already seen standard form, but the form that we are working with today is our vertex form. And vertex form, when we look at that, says y equals a times x minus h plus k. Really similar to what? Point slope form from earlier this year, right? This is really similar to point slope, because what does the a tell us? What does our a tell us when we were graphing these the other day? The a tells us, Remley? Well, it tells us the width, and if it's positive or negative, right? So it's going to tell us the direction. So if you'd please highlight on this one, the a tells us the direction and width. That's in both the factored form, standard form. That's always what our a tells us, okay? So the a is always going to tell us if it goes up or down, and the width. Some of you did really well on the quiz, some of you didn't do as well. The second thing, the c. Now, c in our standard form tells us the location of our y-intercept. Okay? That's usually just in standard form. Together, the a and b, they are going to help us find our vertex. So make sure you have this down. And the key one that we are using today is this vertex form on the marble slide. Okay. So in that, on your paper, writing this equation down. Y equals -2, parenthesis x plus 1 squared plus 4. So here is how we are going to be finding our vertex. The vertex, oops, sorry about that. The vertex for this one is going to be at -1, 4. Look at our x-coordinate. X-coordinate was +1. Our vertex is -1. The plus back here, remember when we had it in point slope form, or point slope, that's our y, that's our 4, right? That was how we found our vertex also before when we were looking for a point on the line. Equation for the axis of symmetry. Well, if we know the vertex, what do we know the axis of symmetry is? It should be x equals -1. Is this a minimum or a maximum? Look at the number out in front. This is telling us that our parabola should be going up or down? Down, right? So our parabola is going down. So it definitely has to be a max. Some of you got confused on that on the quiz. The domain for x is actually all reals. The range for our x is going to be below the vertex, right? All real numbers, 4 or less. And again, the range is dealing with our y-coordinate. Is this going to be a wide or narrow? And when we think of that, we want to think in comparison to just the 1. So this would be narrow, right? It's getting narrower the bigger the number gets. If it's -2, -3, it gets narrower and narrower, okay? So from that equation, here is the last thing that I'm going to have you put in your notes when we talk about today's, when you work on the marble slide. So this is the last thing that we want to put down. Vertex form. So you already have this equation. I want you to write right behind it that the vertex is HK. The vertex will be HK. Now notice that this is a minus H when we have H, and this is a plus K to get the K. The A affects the width and direction. So again, the vertex has a plus H, not a minus H in our equation. So when we look at this equation, the y-coordinate is going to be 9. What is our vertex of our x-coordinate going to be? 3 or -3? It should be 3. Because this is a minus, right? And then we write our coordinate as the opposite of that, right? So the minus is not the sign of our x-coordinate, but this sign back here with the y is our sine of our y coordinate. Okay? So make sure you put this equation down and put the vertex right behind it. So today we are going to be working on this Desmos calculator. When we do the Desmos calculator, the mudslide, here is your code that you are going to be putting in.